Today I'm going to show you how I created 5 AI agents to help me with my day-to-day sales process. Different agents are categorized into 2 different categories. The first being helping me set meetings, and the second being my executive assistant. So the first one I'll show you is how I have an engine to help me with inbound lead qualification. The second, a personalized email generator for outbound emails. The third, a calendar research assistant that pops a note into my calendar about who I'm meeting and what the meeting's about. The fourth is a way for me to auto-update my HubSpot given my notes from a call. And finally, a quick NDA legal reviewer that helps me avoid spending too much of my legal team's time. Stay until the end so you can copy and use these flows yourself. So starting with the inbound lead qualification engine, this engine basically takes in an input from Tally, which is our form service that we use to collect inbound demo information. It does a research on the user who input their information into the form, and it actually takes that and completely researches that person using Perplexity and takes all of those details of that lead and puts them into a structured format using a structured generation where we're actually using GPT-4. Now that we have all the information in the format that we need it, we'll scrape the website of the company that the person is a part of, and we will feed all of that into another model to help us score the lead. Now, here I'm showing how the lead scoring is completely controlled by me. We have all the input data and information, and I'm feeding in some assessment criteria, which includes use case clarity, company user fit, engagement level, form completeness, channel quality, and I'm also defining the output format that I want, which is going to be an overall score from 0 to 100. I'm feeding in an example assessment for the AI so that it knows and can reference this when it's doing its assessment. And I'm giving it a few special instructions to make sure that it's actually performing what I want it to do. Now, the final thing here is that I want an actual score so that I can take that lead and do something intelligent with it based on the score. So I'm scoring it between 0 to 100, and I'm using the output to determine what to do. So in this case, if the score is over 75 on my 0 to 100 scale, I'm going to send myself an urgent alert message so that I'll have a chance to respond to this lead ASAP. And that message is going to come from Slack so that it immediately hits my Slack and I'm able to respond quickly. If it's not a 75 or above, I'm actually just going to go ahead and let AI send a first email for me. I'm having GPT-4o generate a short subject that's going to be catchy and a body of the email that's less than 125 words. You can have this actually send the email straight away, or you can even have it pop a draft into your inbox for later review before you actually hit send. At the end of it, here's what you get. I'm going to fill out a form on Tally, and I'm going to pretend and spoof that I'm Satya Nadella from Microsoft, and that I'm building AI agents for our Copilot. So I'm going to go ahead and submit this in our request a demo form. And you'll see that appears here. And this event was just fired a few seconds ago from our Tally form. And I'm going to go ahead and run the flow. Here's the Perplexity enrichment happening. It's getting all the information of my lead. And now it's going through all of the detailed instructions that I gave it. So finally, I'm getting out of it all the details. It's doing some additional enrichment and giving me all the information that I need. It had a low lead score because it recognized that it's not actually Satya Nadella, and it sent an email. So let's go check my email and see what it sent. This is the email that it sent. I had saved a lot of my time by not having to respond to it myself. Next, I'm going to show you another flow, and this one is more about generating a personal email for outbound purposes. So here in my main workflow, I'm going to input a CSV, and usually I'll use a service like an Apollo or a Clay or something like this to get a list of emails for a very specific set of users that I want to outreach. Once I have the CSV, it's actually going to go ahead and extract all the relevant information that I need. And we're going to run a loop to loop over this list. So imagine a CSV has 50 different contacts in it. I'm going to loop over that list, and I'm going to gather all of this data. Here, I've actually got this subflow running within the loop. If you want to learn a little bit more about subflows, go check out our other video on subflows further down in the channel. And it has full details about how you can create subflows and reuse them and repurpose them. So in the subflow, I'm actually passing in for each item on my lead list, the buyer first name, last name, and all of these different details. So what does the subflow do? Basically, the subflow takes the inputs that I'd passed it. It does research on the customer using a web scrape. It scrapes the website of the company that they're a part of. And then it does this personalized research and tell me everything about the user details, the name of the company, and if you find any posts, comments, or articles where artificial intelligence or agents are included, please include the URL. So I'm feeding all of this personal research prompting into Perplexity, Sonar Pro again. And once I have that information, I'm taking all of the data that I've researched and learned about that lead to do the personalized email creation. So I'm asking it to create a catchy email, a subject to grab the attention of the buyer that's under 50 characters. And I'm creating an email body with a pretty structured prompt so that I have really good results in terms of what the output is from the LLM. In this case, I've found that Claude 3.7 Sonnet writes really well. So I'm using that model, even though it's a little bit more expensive. In previous steps where I'm not as worried about the output and actually sending an email, I will probably use a different, cheaper model. And you can see here, the last step is to create a draft in my email inbox. So in this case, I actually want to check each of the emails before I send them out. And I'm actually creating a draft instead of sending it. But of course, you have options there. You can even send an email and you can do other things with this content as well. Like maybe you want to check it in a different form or put it in an Notion database so you can use it later or something like that. All of those are possible. So let's try it. Run this flow here. I'm putting in a list of inputs here to show you how it looks. I'm going to go ahead and run it. So it's taking all those inputs as if it was coming from the CSV. It's scraping information about, in this case, me, just for the purposes of the demo. And it's doing the personal research. It's doing an overview. It's talking a little bit about my background. And you can see here that eventually it's going to do exactly what I had asked it, which is basically give us a summary, pull all these additional resources about me, and then generate a really personalized email. And as we had discussed before, it's going to pop a draft into my email inbox. Here's the draft that it created for me. Vivek, I discovered your profile as founding GTM at Wordware while researching Y Combinator-backed AI companies with exceptional go-to-market strategies. As someone also bringing AI orchestration to the market, et cetera, et cetera. So you can see here some of the output here as a draft. I can go ahead and use some of this data. I can make it a little bit more personalized, whatever I want, but this gives me a starting point. And when you're actually using this workflow, what you would do is once it's deployed, you'd be able to run it, choose a CSV file. I'll do it here just to show what it looks like. I am doing a bit of research to founding account executives, research and outreach to founding account executives, because I think that some of these flows are going to be really great for them. So I'm going to go ahead and run this flow. And you'll see here that it's going to loop through this lead list that I've shared with it and extract all the information of each of these folks. And it's going to do exactly the same thing, which is pop a draft into my email so that I can go check each one and hit send. Great. So next on our list is my calendar research assistant. How does this help me every day? So oftentimes I'll get a calendar invite popped into my email from a Calendly link that I've sent to someone, or it's being scheduled by one of my colleagues for me to actually go and meet someone that I don't know much about or don't have much context on. This calendar research assistant is really great for this purpose. It reviews all my incoming calendar invites, researches the individuals, and actually pops another calendar invite into my calendar that gives me the notes of the people that are going to be there and the purpose of the meeting. So you can see here that basically it reviews and determines whether I should research the other attendees or not, whether it's worth it. And it's an if-else of if I shouldn't research them, it'll just stop. If it does, then it will actually go in and use this individual web research to go and perform research on the individual. Again, we're using a subflow here. So go back to some of the other videos in our channel that talk about subflows. We have a great tutorial on this. Further down below, you can see here that I'm pulling out the notes details that I can then eventually pop into the calendar invite so that it can be used for me to look at. I just pulled an output of one of the ones that I ran earlier for this. You can see here that I had a meeting where the attendees' information is based on the group profile. It talks a little bit about what the meeting could be about. You can imagine this is really helpful for me in my day-to-day calls where I don't have a lot of context going in and I can just quickly look at my calendar and know what the meeting is about. Most of the time I'm prepping the night before and I can just go to my calendar. Okay, I have this event and I can just really see what it's going to be about. This next one is really cool. It's basically automatically updating HubSpot for any of the meeting notes that I'm taking. Today I use Granola for my meeting notes, and I use my Granola meeting notes. I have the ability to quickly share those and save it with Notion. So once it's saved in Notion, that kicks off this workflow that extracts all the details from the notes, including the prospect's first name, last name, full name, all the information that I might need to send into HubSpot in the specific format that HubSpot requires. And then I have the ability to create or update a contact in HubSpot here. So this is almost like an executive assistant for me, updating HubSpot for me every time I have a meeting, and I can take those notes directly and shove all the information that I have from the meeting, including the prospect's details, into HubSpot. You can see that one of my latest conversations with Jed here went ahead and created this contact right within HubSpot. Pretty cool that I'm able to essentially do that. Now, last and final, it's one of my favorites actually, is the quick NDA legal review. So oftentimes NDAs are pretty easy and I can just sign it myself. And if there's not any onerous terms in there or any big issues in there, I should be able to just sign them myself. But how do I know whether an NDA is pretty chill or if it's like onerous and requires a lot of legal review? That's why I created this quick NDA legal review analyzer. So essentially here, I'm just going to pop in an NDA. It's going to do a few different assessments. The first one is green flags, generally acceptable terms that I'm totally okay with and can go ahead and sign. And all the things that are in there are going to be pretty chill. Next, yellow flags. These are ones that maybe a gray area, may need some legal review. So you can see some of the inputs here. And then finally, I've defined red flags, like things that I really want to make sure that I avoid and have a legal team member actually review. So I'm basically had one of our legal team members help me draft this so that they're okay with the output too. So they're the subject matter expert. I want to make sure that they're okay with all the green flags. Anything that's green, I can go ahead and sign. If it's yellow or red, maybe it's better to loop in an expert here. And then after we actually have defined what we want the LLM to look for, again, I'm using 3.7 Sonnet here for the legal analysis. It's going to create a title for the NDA and then give me the analysis. And then it's just going to generate a quick Slack message and pop it to me and let me know if this is good to go or not. So let's go ahead and try it. I have a previously generated known onerous NDA here, which means that I want this to tell me, don't go ahead with this. This is not a good one to sign straight away. So if I go ahead and run the flow, you can see that Claude's going to review it. And it's going to generate a message. Stop. Do not sign this NDA without legal review. And then it's going to send me that message in Slack. I'll also just scroll down here. This is the ultimate message that I got in Slack. Awesome. These are some of the agents that I built for myself. My top 5, essentially, that help me every day with my sales process. Really helps me get through my days and weeks more easily. Helps me generate meetings and acts as my executive assistant, helping me look over all the minor details that I need to go through when I'm doing my day-to-day job. Really makes me a lot more efficient. Now, if you want to go ahead and use some of these flows, What you're going to want to do is head over to wordware.ai. Here at Wordware, you can basically go ahead and check out the different workflows. And if you click on one of them, you'll be able to go ahead and make your own version, fork it, use it straight away, or tailor it for your own needs. Really excited to have shared all of these with you today. It has been a real game changer for me in my day-to-day, and I'm hoping some of that can be used on your side as well. Thanks so much and have a great rest of your day.